nobullying.com. The movement against bullying.
My name is Doctor Shiphra Bakhchi. I'm a clinical psychologist. I have a PhD in clinical psychology and work with children, adolescents, and adults. I have a private practice in Great Neck in Long Island, New York, and also in Manhattan.
Okay, great. I'll start, Doctor, with the questions, and obviously, you respond to them. Do you feel is bullying as big an issue today as it was 10 years ago? Or, what differences, obviously, do you feel that there are?
Differences in bullying, I mean, it's you can't even compare it to the way that it was 10 years ago because of lots and lots younger children and vast more majority of children that are using the internet and social media websites like Twitter and Facebook. So it's really, really more widespread than it probably ever was.
Okay, and do you feel with the new ways of bullying, if you like, is it as severe as ever or worse?
I believe that it's more severe. I believe that the perpetrators of the bullying are a lot of times have depression, isolation, social problems, and this is how they act out on their victims, and this is how they try to get the attention that they so desperately need, and doing it in the wrong ways.
Okay, and do you feel, Doctor, that with all the publicity in the media about cyberbullying in particular, is anything changing, or is the greater awareness of it, has that helped in any way at all, do you think? Or
I think there's definitely a greater awareness of it, that the schools are having anti-bullying weeks and anti-bullying, talking to parents about what to do when there is bullying in the school, what to do if they believe that their child is a victim of bullying, or if they believe that their child is a bully.
Yeah.
School psychologists, school counselors, guidance counselors, priests, rabbis in the area are becoming more aware of the problem. I think that the effects could really, really be drastic and tragic when there are young children, adolescents, teenagers who have things written about them online, that are afraid to go to school, that the truancy rate is much, much higher, and I think that the problem has gotten worse over time, but that there are being steps to remedy the problem.
Okay. And you've touched on it there anyway. Like, I mean, we all hear of the really tragic cases that make the headlines, but as you say, in general, truancy and different things like that. I suppose we're just asking about what you see as the most common effects, if you like, of cyberbullying in particular.
Sure. I see children and adolescents that are withdrawn. They become afraid to go to school. They become afraid to really push forward and become involved in things like school sports. They're afraid to speak up in class. They're afraid of what others might think of them, and will make excuses to not go to school. And there has been a high dropout rate as well in terms of teenagers that are not finishing school and dropping out.
Okay, and obviously all those things potentially could have long-term implications for those particular kids, I assume.
Absolutely, in terms of career, in terms of social ties with friends, and becoming withdrawn and isolated from the community.
Okay, and could I ask one thing we're very interested in? Some schools we speak to, because according to them, cyberbullying, for example, they say, we have banned Facebook and Twitter, so we don't have any cyberbullying among our students, but we all know that isn't the case. What's the reaction among schools and that you've been dealing with in general? Because as we know, to be fair to schools, sometimes cyberbullying may not occur during school hours, while it still does occur among students of the school.
Right. It probably isn't. It's probably happening more when kids go home and all of a sudden understand that there's been stuff written about them on their wall, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. And So there's a denial of the problem, I think, by schools, because if they say that this is a problem, then it's possible that parents won't want to send their children there, or if they have a choice of schools, might choose the school where this is less of an issue.
Yeah.
And you see that happening also with college campuses, and bringing the rate of crime or rape or something like that down in their handbooks, because they don't want to raise the people being alarmed. But sweeping it under the rug is clearly not helping, and seen that in the higher incidents of suicides, and later finding out that there has been bullying involved.
Okay. What I suppose for people who are being cyberbullied, what's the best advice that you would recommend to give them? Because many may watch this video eventually.
The best advice would be to... Sure. I hope that there are people who are watching this video right now who will come to understand that they're not alone in this, that this is a worldwide problem, and that they need to get help so that this does not continue. Oftentimes the bully will target the person that they believe is weak, that they believe is submissive and won't tell, and will just take the abuse. And the advice that I would give is to speak up, to talk to your teacher, to the principal, to your parents, to a therapist, to anybody in the area that you trust, and will help you to get the help that you need.
Great. And from your experience, from what we have been listening to from different children, victims, if you like, is that there's such a huge initial fear to tell anybody about what is happening to them. But again, from our experience, in a lot of cases, once they do tell parents or teachers, it usually helps and makes things better. Or how do you feel about that?
I absolutely think that it would help make things better to tell. I don't think that there could be any harm in it. I see many children and adolescents who are being bullied or even abused, and they wait a long time to tell, and that has detrimental effects on your psyche, because the longer you feel vulnerable and helpless, and the longer you go on without getting help, the harder it's going to be for you to recover and move on from this experience.
Okay, yeah, because one thing we want to try and get across to to children who are being victimized is that just because they're not one of the news stories, they are far from being alone, and that there are so many of them being discreetly victimized, if that's the way to put it. They still need to sort it out, if you like, and talk about it.
Sure.
No, that's great. I mean, in general, are there any other comments in relation to cyberbullying or bullying that you would like to add, Doctor?
Well, I think that also for the bully, it's oftentimes maybe people don't understand the consequences, the drastic consequences that even writing a few sentences about somebody or a few words about somebody could have on their life. That people could take it to a point where they feel like they are hopeless and helpless, that they're ashamed and embarrassed, and that this is going to be on a website forever, and there's no way to take it down, and will cause irreversible damage to their bodies, will take their lives, and people need to understand those consequences before they write things about people online.
Yeah, and we have spoken to parents as well, just when you mentioned that, Doctor, and they have great concerns about how easy it is for a relatively good child to become a cyberbully purely by liking a photo or a nasty comment.
Absolutely. Another thing that I would say is for parents to monitor their children's use of the internet, to try to be in the room when they're on the internet, to take a look at their Facebook page and what's being written. A lot of times parents have no idea what's going on until it's too late, until there's really been damage to their children in terms of their mental health.
Do you feel that parents have the absolute right to ask their in particular their teenage kids that if they're on Facebook, we want to see what you're doing on this?
Absolutely. I was actually interviewed for after the Sandy Hook shooting, and You know, we had a mother who was a teacher and that had no idea that her son had access to these guns, that her son was spending the amount of time that he was spending playing these extremely violent video games and really becoming obsessed with them. And I think that I believe in the right of privacy for children and young adults, but I absolutely believe that parents need to be involved in their children's lives, to ask questions, and to really be able to, you know, be a source of guidance and encouragement and help for them.
Yeah, no, and again, we would be the same, that absolutely the right to privacy is very important for children, but then I suppose the flip side of that is they're still classed as a child until they're 18, because they do need a guardian / a parent.
I'm living in the parent's roof, and so the parent has a right to know what's happening on the internet, what kind of video games their child is playing, and what's happening in their school.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Doctor, for giving us the interview. I'd absolutely say we'll be in contact again. I mean, if anybody wants to contact you, how can they go about this if they'd like to contact you directly in one of your practices?
Sure, the best way to contact me would probably be to email me.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to, and what is your email address, Doctor?
Sure. It's my first name, Shiphra, at mytherapymatters.com.
Great.
The website is www.therapymatters.com.
That's www.therapymatters.com.
Yes.
Great, super. Well, thanks very much, Doctor.
You're welcome.
And we'll definitely keep in contact and let you know how we're getting on.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
nobullying.com. The movement against bullying. Did you like this video? Did you find it informative? Please support us by pressing like, sharing with your friends, and subscribing. For more information, please visit our website at www.nobullying.com.